A new commandment I give you, says Jesus, that you love one another. And just as I have loved you, Jesus says, you should love one another. But there's nothing new here. Come on, Jesus. I mean, this is a teaching that many religions, the major religions across the world, many of them tout this same teaching to love one another. I think about in our own Judeo-Christian tradition. Again and again in both the Old Testament and the New Testaments, we have this same teaching said and cited. So what makes today's passage, these 5 verses, significant? What makes them stand out? Well, if they're going to stand out for us and fall fresh and reach us in a new way, I think we need to remember where we are. Where are we in John's gospel? This morning, we are reading from the 13th chapter of John, beginning with verse 31. And scholars say this marks the very beginning of the farewell discourse. So this passage in John takes us all the way back to Holy Week. 4 weeks ago, you remember? Holy Week is when we celebrate the last week of Jesus' life. And the passage that we just read, we read on what day of Holy Week? Do you remember? It's okay to participate. I need you to help me out. We read this same passage on what day of Holy Week? Anybody remember?
I don't remember.
Thursday. And thank you for your honesty. Someone said they don't remember. Tom Rischel, is that what you said? Thank you. I appreciate your humility there.
But my wife remembers.
Double points for your humility. Maundy Thursday is when we read this same passage about the commandment Jesus gives, this new commandment to love one another. And it comes, the word Maundy Thursday, Maundy comes from the Latin, the word mandate, which means command. And Maundy Thursday, you remember what's happening on that day. Jesus has just finished, participate with me. What is Jesus around the table? He's just finished doing what? There's a clue on the screen. Washing the feet of his disciples. And he's sharing with his disciples a meal. And the stakes could not be higher because this is the Last Supper. Jesus will soon be crucified, and with his death pending, here is what he says to his followers: just as I have loved you, you should love one another. In this life and death kind of moment, Jesus could have said all kinds of things, a number of things. He could have said something like, keep the faith. He could have said something like, spread the gospel. He could have said, believe this and don't believe that. He could have said, go to church, read your Bible, say your prayers every single day, and give. Give all your money to First United Methodist Church of Gulfport. But Jesus doesn't say any of those things. Jesus says, love one another as I have loved you. And he says it in the kindest, most tender-hearted way possible. When he speaks to his disciples, he says to them with all the care and love that he can muster, he says, little children, which is a term of endearment, the only time in John's gospel that he uses it, little children, I am with you only a little while longer. But if you want, he doesn't say this, but this is my interpretation. If you want to keep my spirit alive after I'm gone, love one another. It is not, get this, it is not a suggestion. It is a command. And it is also the dying wish of Jesus. Now, if this is not weighty or heavy enough for you, then I want you to consider what else is happening as these 5 verses appear. What's going on here? Judas, he is long gone. He has left the building like a ghost in the heat of the night. John's gospel says, right in the first verse of our passage, he, meaning Judas, had gone out. The hour had come. There's no turning back now. The betrayal of Jesus is about to happen. It's in motion. Several years ago, I read about a couple, and they had been married for 50 or 60 years, a really, really long time. And they had known each other, this couple. They had known each other as children, and then they were high school sweethearts, and then they got married. And over time, this couple learned how to love each other, not just in a romantic kind of way, but in what we call in the Christian church an agape kind of love, where you sacrifice one for the other. And so, Mo was the husband, and Mo was dying, and his wife was holding her beloved husband Mo in her arms as he was taking his final breaths, and she said to her husband, how on earth, she said, or asked him, am I supposed to live without you? And here's what the husband said to her. He said, take the love that you have for me and the love I have for you and go and spread it to everyone you meet. The dying wish of Jesus, just as I have loved you, you should love one another. It's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple that even a little child can grasp it. On this graduation Sunday, I've been thinking about all of you that we're celebrating. And the pursuit of knowledge is so valuable. It's so important. It's something that this church values greatly. But left to its own devices, it can only take us so far. I have to admit to you that for much of my life, I guess because of the family of origin I was born into, I'm not going to blame them completely, but you know how it goes. I hate to admit this, but for so much of my life, one of my supreme goals, if not the goal, was the pursuit of knowledge. I love to learn. I love to go to school. I even went to seminary to study theology, which is the study of God. And one of the reasons I went to theology school is because I thought that the more I knew about God, the more I learned and studied, the closer to God I would be. And I'm very grateful for all the educational opportunities given to me. If I had to rank the top 10 gifts in my life, those educational opportunities would definitely fall in the top 10. But what I have learned over time is valuable and wonderful as the pursuit of knowledge and the gift of knowledge and education, all those things are. It's not ultimately, they're valuable. Knowledge is valuable, but it doesn't ultimately lead us to God. Now, another person said it this way. It's a catchy way for those in the room to remember what I'm trying to say here today. Maybe it's from Richard Rohr. I can't remember. He probably got it from someone else. But here's the point. We don't think our way to God. We do what? We love our way to God. Let's say that again. It's the heart of my sermon. We don't think our way to God. We love our way to God. And I hope we'll all remember that moving forward. But to the graduates, those who are graduating, I want you to remember in the middle of the night when you're studying and cramming for that exam and a friend comes up to you and says, I'm in a crisis. Do you have about 15 minutes to talk? Remember that. Or when you're trying to figure out a major decision or what kind of job to take and you're wondering if it takes advantage of others or if it promotes the love of all. Remember that we don't think our way to God, we love our way to God. And when you're walking down your dorm room hall and you make eye contact for a moment with that person who lives down the hall. You do not even know her name, but what you do know is how isolated she is, and you've heard from others that she's dealing with depression. Remember that we don't think our way to God. We love our way to God. Knowledge, so important. Very valuable. I believe in the pursuit of knowledge. I believe in providing quality education and making it available to everyone and all. But knowledge, again, left to its own devices, I have learned it can further divide us. We're in the information age. We have all the knowledge we could ever want at our fingertips, more knowledge than we can consume, much less comprehend. And just look at how divided we are. Paul says it this way, and I'm paraphrasing. So what? So what if you're the smartest person in the world? So what if you're the most learned or more educated? If you do not have love, you are nothing more than a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. Just let that image remain in your heart. Little children, Jesus says, I give you a what commandment? New. New because it is so different. It is so unlike anything that the world is going to tell you or teach you to do. It is so countercultural. And it's not about what we know. It's not about what we believe. It's about how we live and treat each other. I came across a story recently, and it just is one of those stories I can't put down. It stuck with me. And so when that happens, I tend to think, well, maybe that's the Spirit's way of saying I should share it. And this story comes from the classic book, Out of Africa. And I must just go ahead and confess, I've never read the book. I have watched the movie a time or two. But this story doesn't come, you won't find it in the film, it comes from the book. And it's about a boy named Kato. And he appears at the author's door one day and asks for a job to be a domestic servant. So she hires him, and she is so surprised that in a short amount of time, around 3 months' time, this boy asks her for a letter of recommendation so that he can get work for another person in a nearby town. Now, this woman wants to keep the servant, so she offers to pay him more money, give him a raise. But this boy isn't interested in money. The boy is trying to decide if he wants to be a Christian like this woman or if he wants to be a Muslim, like that other person he hopes will hire him in that nearby town. So his purpose for asking for a recommendation letter is so that after spending some time living and working with a Christian, now he'll have the opportunity to live and work with a Muslim. And then he can choose. He'll watch how the people behave in both of these homes and circumstances and situations, and then he'll decide for himself who he will follow. And the author remembers how she wished Cato, this servant boy, had told her about his intentions before he came to live with her. Now, of course, this story is not about which religion is better, which one is supreme and has supreme knowledge. It's all about what matters most to God, that we love one another. Friends, we know what is essential. And we know what the litmus test is for the Christian witness. And it is the dying wish of Jesus. Judas had gone out. The hour had come. And Jesus says to his followers, little children, love one another. This is how everyone will know that you are my disciples. So be it, and so it is.